A very good evening, Zimbabwe. This Friday, February the 11th, 2022. This is Live Talk. I'm Marvelous Mflanganyahuye, broadcasting from my home in Washington, D.C. due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
And I am Tungameli Nkomo.
And tonight on Live Talk, we are going to be looking at the issues that are currently happening in the country. We see there's an impasse between the government and teachers, and also we're going to be looking at by-elections and what the parties are doing, all the parties in the country to launch their campaigns for the by-elections, which will take place next month.
As many of you know by now, we saw the government yesterday announcing a 3-month suspension without pay of teachers who've been on strike since Monday, saying that that's totally unacceptable. So as a result of their actions, these teachers have been suspended for 3 months and without pay. But law experts say that this is illegal, and we have one such law expert with us, and he's going to be our first guest. That's Professor Lovemore Madhuku. He says to the government, not so fast. What you have done is illegal and totally unacceptable. We will hear from the professor on that.
Yes, Ntunga. So we will be crossing over to the professor later on in the program. But first, Ntunga, let's go and introduce our program as we normally do in our own languages.
Yebo mafuli ngaba lichona njani emakhaya Zulu kandaba sikuhlelo lwe live talk. Lamhlanje sixoxa ngendaba ezitshiyeneyo ezihamba phambili kuludaba lokumiswa umsebenzi kwababalisi. Sibonile izolo umphathintambo obona ngezemfundo yaphansi ye-primary le-secondary esethula umbiko esithi yena ababalisi abaqale ukukhalala umsebenzi ngomvulo ekuvulweni kwesikolo sebemiswe kancane umsebenzi okwenyanga ezintathu esingathi yi-suspension. Bamiswe umsebenzi okwenyanga ezintathu njalo bemile umsebenzi benjalo kabasoze baholiswe nguhulumende kuyindlela yokubajezisa ngokukhalala umsebenzi. Yilo inyathelo eselenziwe nguhulumende elithethwe nguhulumende izolo, kodwa ingcwethi kweze imithetho zithi hayi okwenziwe nguhulumende lokhu akukho emthethweni, ngezinye indlela is illegal, kwephula umthetho. Ngokunjalo bathi hayi ababalisi balelungelo lokuya emthethwandaba, and for sure sibonile lamhlanje inhlanganiso emela ababalisi bemaphandleni, i-Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, isiya emthethwandaba namuhla lapho emangalele khona umphathintambo wezemfundo uDr. Evelyn Ndlovu ukuthi hayi usethetheke inyathelo elingayisilo lapha elephula amalungelo ababalisi. Ngokunjalo lolo ludaba osolusemthethwandaba ke bafake lokho okuthiwa yi-urgent chamber application, okungangokuthi bafuna lolu daba luhluzwe inkundla ngokuphuthuma ngesiphangiphangi. Ngolunye udaba esikhuluma ngalo lamhlanje lo sizakuba lengcwethi kwezemithetho ethi uhulumende uphambanisile ubaba uLovemore Madhuku. Nguprofessor Lovemore Madhuku ufundisa ezemithetho e-University yeZimbabwe. Sizakhuluma njalo ngodaba lwemikhankaso yamabandla ezombusazwe ekhankasela ama-by-elections. Kusasa amabandla achiyeneyo, iZanu PF, i-Citizens Coalition for Change kababuchamisa, lamanye azasungula imikhankaso yawo endaweni ezichiyeneyo for ama-by-elections. Lawa yizo ke ezinye esilazo lamhlanje ezihamba phambili. Mav.
Aiwa, tinokuchingamidzai nemufaro pano pachirongwa chedu cheLivetalk. Nhasi tichange tiine zvakawanda zvatiri kukurukura pamusoro pezvazvo. Semusi wechishanu kudai February 11 tichange tiri kutarisa zviri kuitika muzvikoro, umo takaona nezuro vamwe varayiridzi vakange vati havasi kukwanisa kunge vachienda kumabasa kunodzidzisa, vachinzi ivo vambomiswa basa nebazi rezvedzidzo. Uyezve tikazoona vachikwidza nyaya iyi kumatare. Saka tichange tiri kuve nehurukuro ipo pano nevamwe vachange vari kutibatsira kuona kuti zvakamira sei zviri kuitika muzvikoro, kuti uyezve zvimwe zviri kuitika munyika zvakamira sei. Tichange zvakare tichikurukura pamusoro pezviri kubuda munyaya dzegadziro yemabi-elections. Tiri kuona mapato ari munyika akasiyana-siyana anosanganisa Zanu PF, MDC Coalition for Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC, MDC Alliance, uyezve nemamwe mapato, Republican Party nevamwe vachiti vachange vari kuwanikwa vachiparura zvirongwa zvavo zvegadziriro yemabi-elections iwaya mangwana. Saka tichange tiine vanyarikani vachauya ipo pano vari kumirira Zanu PF, Dr. Masimba Mavaza, uyezve vachimirirawo CCC, Citizens Coalition for Change, Tawanda Dzvokora vanomirira North America imo muno muAmerica. Vachange vari pano tichikurukura tichionesana kuti zvakamira sei uyezve zvinorevei zviri kuitika izvi. Asi nyaya yatichatanga kutaura nezvayo inyaya yezviri kuitika muzvikoro pari zvino. Tichange tiri kunge tiina munyarikani vedu Dr. Lovemore Madhuku vachange vari pano vachikurukura nesu vachinyatsotipa hwaro hwekuti zvakamira sei. Izvi zviri kuitwa nehurumende zvinogona kunge zvichiitika here? Nekuti vamwe vari kuti ivo aiwa, hurumende haifaniri kunge ichidaro zviri kuitwa izvozvi. Saka ndo zvimwe zvatichange tiri kukurukura ipo pano tichiona kuti regai tiona kuti takwanisa here kubata Dr. Lovemore Madhuku kuti tienderere mberi nehurukuro yedu. Antunga.
Yes, Mav. We now have Professor Lovemore Madhuku on the line. And before we go to him, let me read the letter that was, the statement that was released by the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Dr. Evelyn Ndlovu, yesterday. The title reads, Suspension from Service. The Minister of Primary and Secondary Education would like to inform the nation and its valued stakeholders that all officials within the ministry who absented themselves from duty since the official opening of schools on 7 February 2022 have been suspended without pay forthwith for a period of 3 months. During this period of suspension, members are not to hinder or interfere with any investigation or evidence relating to the alleged misconduct. Appropriate action will be taken against members who abrogate their duties and responsibilities. The ministry remains committed to the provision of quality, affordable accessible, relevant, equitable, inclusive, and wholesome education for all Zimbabweans. And that suspension letter led to the Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe today going to court. And now turning to Professor Lovemore Madhuku, is actually the one who came out first yesterday saying that what the government has done is illegal. So, Professor Madhuku, good evening and welcome.
Good evening and welcome to the listeners.
Yes, why is this illegal in your in your educated view?
I think it is a very straightforward issue. It doesn't even require any serious lawyering. It is very clear that in terms of the contract of employment, teachers, just like other civil servants, are not employed by the government. They are employed by the state. there's a distinction between the government and the state, and then the organization that represents the state for purposes of the contract of employment is the Public Service Commission. It is itself an independent body in the sense that it exists separate from government ministries. So those are the employers. The Public Service Commission is the employer. Only an employer can suspend a person from employment. That is very straightforward and also well established in this country that a minister, whether a minister of education or a minister of health or a minister of transport, does not employ the civil servants who are working in that ministry. It's quite well established even the world over actually.
So from what you are saying here, Prof, this might be an issue of procedure. So hypothetically, can the government recall its suspensions and then go to the Public Service Commission and lobby them to take the same measure?
It is not a question of procedure. It is nothing. At law, they don't have to recall anything because what they put across is nothing. That is why lawyers speak about something called a nullity, something that is null and void. No one must say that teachers were suspended. This is a non-thing. If you do something that is completely outside your terrain, people must not waste time respecting. All they need to go to court to do is to have the court to confirm that that thing was a nullity. It was null and void, rather than to say that you go to court to have the suspension lifted, because there is no suspension at law.
So, how about if the Public Service Commission wakes up tomorrow and says that teachers have been suspended for 3 months? Would that stand?
It will still be legal. The Public Service Commission cannot operate as a puppet of the government. It will be very clear that if the Public Service Commission were to do exactly what the minister attempted to do without legal authority, then the Public Service Commission would have abdicated its constitutional responsibility, and that would be legal. It cannot come to the public and mimic or
Tunga, I think we've lost him on the line there, but maybe very interesting, view coming from Professor Madhuku. But I think we've lost him, so I'm going to let you try and get him back.
Both the government and the way to do it without the minister. Let's say they had done it earlier, they would not have done this mass suspension or blanket suspension. That would be illegal.
Okay, please do stay on the line, Prof. Let me go to my co-host, Mav Ndofungane Mvunzo, for you, Prof. Just stay on the line. Mav, vari kutaura Professor Madhuku kuvanza.
Hongu vangofanira kutiudzawo kuti vanoona sei zviri kuitika izvi zviri pamutemo here kuti hurumende iwanikwe ichidzinga maticha sezvatakaona nezuro tizoona iwo maticha vachikwidza nyaya iyi kumatare.
I think we have a problem with my connection with Prof. Mav. Let me call him using a different app here. Meanwhile, siyamuzwa lapha uProfessor Lovemore Madhuku. Uthi okwenziwe nguhulumende okokuxotsha ababalisi umsebenzi for 6 months 3 months ukuba suspenda for 3 months akwenzileyo uhulumende izolo akukho emthethweni neze. Ngokunjalo uthi ngoba iPublic Service Commission iyo eqhatsha ababalisi hathi uhulumende. Even though kunjalo uthi iPublic Service Commission layo ingavuka kusasa isithi isi-suspende ababalisi still layo even kuyiyo umqhashi lokho kuyabe kungekho emthethweni. Mav, you can take it while I reconnect with Prof.
Aiwa, apo tiri kunzwa Ntunga ari kuedza iye kuti tiwane zvakare tichibata Profesa Madhuku, asi takamira ipapo regai tibva taenda kune vamwe vanyarikani vedu vari pano pari zvino tichiedza kuti tibate Profesa Madhuku tibva tangoivhiya nyaya iyoyi kuti tiri kuona pana Dr. Masimba Mavaza uyezve tina Tawanda Dzvokora veMDC Alliance. Tombotanga nemi Tawanda Dzvokora veMDC Alliance, munoona sei zviri kuitika kumaticha izvi?
Hatichisiri veMDC Alliance, pama-orange ipapo, pama-banana ipapo. I know zvichambotinetsei kuti vanhu vanzwisise.
Aiwa, taurai henyu veCCC.
Tinotenda, ndosaka tichiramba tichiuya takapfeka mavara edu kana matishedza totombototanga unofukunura kuti tione kuti tauya nazvo kuitira kuti vanhu vanzwe, vazive, tizivise vanhu vese vari kumamisha. Kana wanzwa uri pano paVOA, uri kuHwedza, uri kuChipinge, uri kuKariba, taurira vamwe ikoko, wotaurirawo vamwe kuti vachamisa vaane imwe pati inonzi CCC. Havasisiri veMDC. Chero pamuchaenda kunovhota, muchaona MDC Alliance iripo, asi haisisiri iyo yavachamisa. Munongotsvaga pama pakanzimba nemasii matatu, pane orange, pane mabanana ipapo, ndopamunokanda X yenyu. Ndinotenda nemukana. I just want to respond to this education issue. I'm a former teacher myself, retired teacher, and I feel, for my fellow teachers in Zimbabwe, they are getting less than what any other teacher in the region is getting. In South Africa, teachers get an average of 250,000 to 700,000 a month. And in Botswana, teachers get an average of 1,500 US to 3,000 US dollars. And this is what I left when I was teaching in Botswana. I taught in Botswana for 10 years. I was getting 1,900 US dollars when I left in 2012. And here we have teachers that are crying for a salary that they were getting 5 years ago. Where have you ever seen it? That a teacher, someone who demand or who strike to get a salary that he was getting 5 years ago. They should actually be fighting to get double that. But they are fighting for a salary, yemakore 5 apura. And they're not even getting it. All they want is to get $500 that they used to get around 2013, 14, 15. Yekamiswa na Mnangagwa. It was stopped by Mnangagwa in 2018. Now they are coming up with a paltry $175. $175 cannot pay for a teacher's school fees, for a teacher's child's school fees at an ordinary mission boarding school. He can't afford it. And they come and talk about the issue of housing, the issue of cars. How are teachers going to be able to pay the loans for those cars? It's impractical. It's impossible. This is a total example of a government that has failed its people, that has failed its citizens, that is failing its civil servants. We have heard of command agriculture. We've heard of command judiciary. We all know that our judiciary is captured. There was command health. Now the government is moving on to impose command education. They want to force teachers to go and teach when they are incapacitated. It's unacceptable. It will not happen. And the only way people of Zimbabwe, fellow citizens, is for us to vote this government out. Let's go and register to vote en masse, and let's go and vote on 26 March so that we remove this heartless government. How do they want teachers to work when teachers are getting less than what they use, in a month? What are they working for? We need new leaders. We need a new government, a caring government that cares for its civil servants and its citizens.
Okay, tinotenda Tawanda Dzvokora, the Citizens Coalition for Change. Regai tiende kuna Dr. Mavaza, veZanu PF timbonzwawo manzwa zvataurwa navaDzvokora. Imi munoona sei zviri kuitika kuvarairidzi izvi tichiona kuti tanzwa zvakare vaMadhuku vachitaura ipo pano kuti zvakaitwa nehurumende hazvisi pamutemo?
Thank you, Mav. Chekutanga handisida kupindura vaDzvokora because havanongogwauta dzimwe nguva. But tine mubvunzo watingangobvunzana pano kuti chii chinonzi kususpend. What is suspension? A suspension is when you remain employed, but you are not allowed to come to work for a certain period, or either because it's a punishment, or either because there's investigation going on, or for some other reasons. It can be for medical reasons, health reasons, safety reasons, or disciplinary reasons. Now, I agree with Professor Madhuku. It is unlawful for the government to suspend the workers because they've demonstrated. The workers have not just woken up and demonstrated. They've given government notice as required by the law. They've actually informed the minister, informed the government on time. They've informed their employer, the Public Service Commission, that they will not be able to come to work. They are not on strike. That is what they said. It's technical. They're on strike, but they've said we are not on strike because we cannot come to, I can't go to Gokwe and Namari bus. So Tibatrione bus, if there's no bus fare, we can't go. So what the government was supposed to do was to help to do a command transport, provide buses, cars, everything to pick these people to their workplaces, provide food until the salary comes up or something. So the minister had used a heavy hand. This is not what we do. This is not what our Zanu PF does. It's not Zanu PF, it's the government, it's the minister. Our president is called a listening president. He would have listened, he would have dealt with something else. I know very soon when he comes back from Mozambique, where he is now, he will be back tomorrow. He will definitely sort this thing out and you will see different things. So in other words, yes, it is wrong to suspend teachers because it's like we are stopping them from demonstrating. Number two, the teachers have raised a technical point. They said we are not demonstrating. We are simply unable to go to work. So the minister was supposed to liaise with cabinet, liaise with government, then liaise with the Public Service Commission, and then come up with an agreement. The minister does not have the authority to fire a teacher. So in this case, by firing them on paper, it's like aiding, helping them to strike. When they're simply saying they can't come, and they remain unemployed, and then you cannot tell them that we have suspended you, don't come to work for 3 months while we sort something out. That's what they've been saying. We can't come to work until we sort something out. So in other words, the teacher is on the blind side, help the teachers. The minister is help the teachers, which is wrong. But however, suspension, in short, we need to look at two things. The minister is not Zanu PF, is not the government, is not, the minister is not representing Zanu PF. Government and Zanu PF are two different things. So we cannot only rush to politics and start lambasting Zanu PF for what the ministry or the government has done, even though it's the government for Zimbabwe, not for Zanu PF. And therefore, people like Dzvokora should learn that sometimes we have to distinguish between politics and administration. This is an administrative error which has to be corrected. And therefore, it has nothing to do with politics. We cannot rush to say vote or don't vote. And we don't have to take in order just to show a color. But the point here is don't vote for MDC because they can lie to you. Don't vote for CCC because they can lie to you. The truth is, when there's a problem, let's deal with the problem. So the problem is our teachers are really in trouble. They need help and not suspension.
Thank you so much. Let me bring in Ntunga. Ntunga, if you can chime in.
Ongo Mav, we have reconnected with Professor Madhuku. Prof manga muchitaura imimi timbopinda mururimi amai papo mbotsanangurirai vatereri kuti sei muchiti kumiswa basa kwevadzidzisi kwevarairidzi hakuzi pamutemo?
Tiri kuti hazvisi pamutemo, zvakatojeka kune munhu wese pakungoti vashandi vehurumende muno muZimbabwe yangu vachinzi vashandi vehurumende vanenge vari vashandi venyika. Saka munhu anenge achinzwa mutemo ndiye anoshandirwa nevashandi vehurumende, anonzi employer. Inonzi Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission haisi inoshanda ichitungamirirwa kana kuti inotoshanda yakazvimirira. Ndiyo inokwanisa chete kuti munhu basa kana kuti ari kubasa. Saka Minister weEducation haasi iye anonzi ndiye muemployer kana mushandirwi wevanhu vanoshanda kueducation. Minister weTransport haatovanhu ari kuMinistry of Transport Minister wechakati ndo mamiriro azvakaita. Saka hazvisi pamutemo pakuti hazvina kuitwa negwara rinoitwa uye nemunhu anofa.
Saka zvino sezvo Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe yatoenda kumatare ezimhosva, tingati here hapana chimwe chishungo chichaturwa nedare panze kwekuti zvaitwa nehurumende izvi hapana, hazvisi pamutemo?
Kana dare richitarisa nyaya iyoyo yakanaka, zviri pachena haritombofira akaungana nekuti dzatoona minista dzakanaka. Asi kana munhu achienda kukoti zvinokwanisa kutoita zvinoenderana nekuti nyaya yavo kuipirizenda kwavaita, vanyora magwaro acho anofanira kunyorwa nemazvo here, uye vanyora sometimes vanhu vanonzi nyaya yako haina kubudirira kukoti, kwete sekuti hauna point yako, asi pamwe hauna kunge wakanyora mapepa acho anodiwa, uyezve pamwe unenge usina kupedza maprofita. Saka tinozomuitira kubva kuti dare haringazvirambi izvo zvinenge zvatokutaura kuti pamutemo, asi hazvitaura kuti zvaenda kukoti zvinokwanisa kubudirira. Zvinoenda kukoti zvinokwanisa kutadza ngedzimwe nzira dzakawanda.
Ko iyo nyaya yevarayiridzi nehurumende, Prof, muri kuiona sei? Because since last year and previously zvichiinda kumashure kwese uko, hurumende inogara ichingonetsana nevarayiridzi panyaya yemasalaries. Vari kuti varayiridzi mari dzedu ngadzidzoserwe pa$540 yegore riya, asi hurumende iri kuramba ichingotsika madziro, zvinoita kuti varayiridzi vasaende kumabasa sezviri kuitika pari zvino, and vadzidzi ndivo vanoguma vapinda parumana nzombe ipapo. Muri kuiona sei nyaya iyi, the way government yairi kubata nayo nyaya yevarayiridzi besides masuspension?
Ndiri kuona kuti government iri kukanganisa pakusada kunyatsogara pasi zvakanaka nevanomirira varayiridzi, vaya vanonzi muchirungu matrade union anomirira varayiridzi, ndivo vanhu vanofanira kugara nayo pasi. Saka kutaurirana kwavo kunonzi muchirungu social dialogue kana collective bargaining hazvisi kufamba nemazvo. Hurumende iri kuita chinga yekungofunga kuti zvainenge ichida iyo hazvikuitiki, iyo ndiyo inoziva zvokuita. Saka ipapo hurumende iri kusanganisa pakuti haisi kubata nyaya yekutaurirana nevashandi zvakanaka. Chechipiri chandiri kuona kuti hurumende haisi kubata zvakanaka ndezvekuti chikumbiro chevarayiridzi chekuti vanoda kuti mari yavo iende pauremu hwayanga inahwo about $500 tasvika pakuchinja kwakaita. Chikumbiro chinenge chakanaka, chikumbiro chandinoona kunge hurumende inofanira kuti iite zvibate izvozvo. Ine mari yakakwana yekuti vanhu vakwanise kutambira mari iyoyo yakadaro kumatichers yatinawo muZimbabwe neupfumi hwatinahwo. Saka chandiri kuona kunge vari kunonoka kubata ndechekuti aiwa vanofanira kutongosvika ipapo, nekuti tikatarisa mari dzatinowana nekutarisa mari dzatinopa vashandi nezvimwe zvakadaro, iyoyo mari inofanira kubuda mukati mehomwe yehurumende. Tichingopa maticha mari iyoyo minimum tione kuti vanozotaura futi chimwe chinhu chipi nekuti vati vana vedu vadzidze zvikoro zvifambe zvakanaka.
Liyamuzwa lapho uProfessor Lovemore Madhuku, ingcwethi kwezemithetho, ufundisa njalo ezemithetho e-University of Zimbabwe. Uthi hayi ukumiswa umsebenzi okwenziwe ababalisi nguhulumende akukho emthethweni neze. Njalo uthi ubona inhlanganiso yababalisi i-Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe yona esihambe emthethwandaba isiyaphikisa inyathelo leli. Uthi ubaba Madhuku hayi ubona inkundla ivumelana le inhlanganiso leyo ekuthini uhulumende uphazamisile ngoba akalawo amandla okuxotsha ababalisi. Bona athi umqhashi wabo yi-Public Service Commission layo athi futhi kayilawo amandla okuxotsha ababalisi umsebenzi kumbe ukubamisa bengela holo okwenziwe nguhulumende izolo for 3 months. Le into ecunule abantu abanengi impela, njalo simzwile lapha uMadhuku echasisa ukuthi ngimbuzile ukuthi uyibona njani indlela vele uhulumende aphatha ngayo ababalisi ngoba sokuleminyaka leminyaka abantwana bengafundi ngenxa yokuthi ababalisi babe ngaye emsebenzini besithi kabalazo izimali zokugada imtshova ngoba besithi uhulumende kababhadali kuhle. Uthi yena ubaba Madhuku hayi uhulumende kumele adonse amasokisi aphe ababalisi imali yona le abathi bayifuna $540 ukuze abantwana bakhona ukufunda kuhle ngemfanelo ngoba ungakhangela in the past 3 years ikakhulu ngendaba ye-COVID bekungahambi kuhle impela ezemfundo, siyasilela emuva. Instead of ukuthi abantwana njengoba izikolo sezivuliwe babe besesikolo amatitsha efundisa bezama ukuthi catch up, sebehluphana lo hulumende kathesi. Uhulumende uthi kalayo imali, phezu kwalokho sebasuspendile futhi kuthiwa for 3 months. Ngokunjalo hayi uyakusola kakhulu lokho ubaba Madhuku Mafi.
Aiwa apo tangati kuona mtunga achitaura iye naProfessor Lovemore Madhuku vachitaura ivo pamusoro pemamiriro akaita zvino muzvikoro umo tiri kuona kuti pari zvino vadzidzisi uyezve nevadzidzi nyaya yekuti vaende kuchikoro iri kuti netsei. Regai timboona vhidhiyo yakawanikwa iyo ichiitwa nemumwe mutori wedu wenhau Columbus Mabvunga achitaura iye mamiriro akaita zvino muzvikoro munyika yeZimbabwe.
Students in Zimbabwe are still unable to attend classes, even though that schools closed during the COVID-19 pandemic were due to reopen on February 7. That's because teachers are refusing to go back to work. The teachers currently earn less than $100 a month and want better pay. Meanwhile, students are reading on their own or heading back home like this 16-year-old student.
My appeal is for a salary increment for teachers so that they come to work because we aren't learning. It's like we are paying fees for nothing. It's so painful as my parents are struggling for it when I am not learning at all.
The pay dispute goes back to October 2018 when the government stopped paying teachers in US dollars, switching to the reintroduced Zimbabwean dollar. The new currency has steadily lost value, effectively reducing the teachers' wages. Obed Masaraure, the president of the Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, says the instructors want their old salary restored and says the offer of a 20% raise amounts to almost nothing.
We asked for the restoration of the value of our salaries, which were robbed from us by the government of the day. And the message is clear to the government that we need our pre-October 2018 salaries of USD 540. We know these shenanigans of adding an extra dollar to our salaries. That doesn't add up.
Government officials see the ongoing talks in a different light and are optimistic of a successful resolution.
In many ways, we already have a breakthrough. the leaders of the workers have, to a very large extent, welcomed this package, and they are only saying, let's discuss how it's going to be implemented.
The teachers and the government are expected to meet over the weekend to resume negotiations. Meanwhile, students wait to resume their studies months after the pandemic forced their schools to close. Columbus Mavunga for VOA News, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Aiwa apo tiri kunzwa isu kubva kune mumwe mutori nawo Columbus Mavunga angachitaura iye zvanga zviri kuitika muzvikoro pari zvino. Kunyange yake akawanikwa achiita mainterviews aya hatisati tasvika panyaya yatanga tiri kutaura naProfesa Madhuku, nyaya yekuti vamwe varairidzi vakazowanikwa vachinzi vamiswe mabasa mutunga.
Yebo kunjalo libonile lapho uintatheli izindaba ye-VOA. Columbus Mavunga ubekhuluma ngomumo osezikolo lapho abantwana abatshona bedlala khona ngoba akukho abangakwenza abantwana abekho esikolweni. Abadala abanengi, abazali abanengi bayakusola kakhulu osokwenziwe nguhulumende, ngoba ababalisi imajority ngokuzwa kwethu from izinhlanganiso ezibamelayo bebengayi emsebenzini. So nxa uhulumende eyakuthi bonke sebe suspendiwe for 3 months, abantu abaningi bathi hayi lokho ikubulala ezemfundo, uhulumende kakwazi akwenzayo. Lo Madhuku eyakufakaza ingcwethi kwezemithetho uthi hayi ulahlekile impela uhulumende, njalo uthi bonaba asebehambe enkantolo Obed Masarawure abe amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, ubabona benqoba, ubona inkantolo ivumelana labo ukuthi hayi kumele baqhubeke besemsebenzini ngoba okwenziwe nguhulumende kwephula umthetho. Mavi
Aiwa regaiti vatapinda munyaya yemabai elections tinoona kuti ichokwadi tazeya nyaya yezviri kuitika muzvikoro, but tiri kuona kuti mangwana kunenge kuchidaidzwa anonzwa kunzvimbo dzakasiyana siyana. Tiri kunzwa kuti kuchange kuine zvirongwa zvekuparura zvirongwa zvemabai elections. VeZanu PF vachange vane zvirongwa zvavo, veCCC vachange vane zvirongwa zvavo, MDC Alliance inenge ine zvirongwa zvayo. Totanga nemi Dr. Mavaza veZanu PF, imi zvirongwa zvenyu muchange muri kuchiparura kupi zvemabai elections?
Rally kana kuti rally yekuvhura musambo ichaitwa pamuharare kuAirport. Kuchaungana pamuchaona kuvanhu kuti vanofarira Zanu PF sei apa kana kuti rally yasarudzwa muHarare nekuti mune vakawanda, mune kana kuti maconstituencies akati wandei ari muHarare asara ari vacant, akabviswa vanhu nenhubu dzeMDC kana kuti dzeCCC. Ndo dzada kuti dzivharidzwe idzodzo. Saka yes, zviri kuitika ndezvekuti kunyange president vachitanga vachiparura star rally tomorrow kunzvimbo dzakasiyana siyana kune misangano inenge ichiitwa. Vamiririri vari kuda kusarudzwa munzvimbo dzakasiyana siyana vari kufamba vachikumbira kuvhoterwa, vachitaura nevanhu mudzimba, vachiita rallies nemamwe mameetings, kungoita misangano yekungosangana nekungobatsirana nevada kubatsirwa, nekungotaurirana kuti no musafurirwe, nekuti kutsvukira kweruvara rweyelo hazvirevi kuti rwodyiwa. Rambai makabata pama makabatirira kare, musasiya kubata gumbo ramakabata muchibatiswa mudzi nevafana vanonyebava. Saka chokwadi ndechekuti Zanu PF iri kuenderera mberi ende tiri kukambena, ende toda kuti vanhu vagonzwisisa kuti mukavhotera CCC vanenge vakudzinga futi vanhu vavo, vajara kudzingana. Vhoterai vanhu vasingadzingwe, vacharamba vachikumirirai kusvika teme yapera, tigoenderera mberi futi with the same people vamakatesta mukadzwa kuti vane chokwadi pachichaenderera mberi zvakati 2023. Saka ndati tinzwisise kuti sure we are taking these by elections very seriously, regardless kuti whether we lose or win, tine majority kudhara. But we are taking it seriously because hatidi vana veZimbabwe vanomirirwa nenhubu dzisingazivi zvadziri kuita. So I want all of them kuti vauye pasi pemusangano weZanu PF tigomirira nyika yese vamwe chete takabatana. Ndo zvatiri kuita kubva mangwana, ndo mashoko achaparurwa napresident anenge achitaura pasi nyika yese mativi mana ese eZimbabwe jekerere.
Aiwa, rikaitigwa tadedzawo vadzvokora vebato reCCC kuti imi chirongwa chenyu muchachifambisawo sei mangwana. Tichiona kuti tiri kunzwa vaMasimba Mavaza vabva vati chavo chiri kuparurwa nemutungamiri webato ravo mangwana kuAirport.
Tinotenda vari kuparura zvirongwa zvavo. Takaona svondo rakapera honorable Yepumo Chidziva vachiparura muHighfield West. Tiri kutarisira kuti vachakunda zvakanyanyisa imomo. Takaonawo zvakare honorable Judith Tobaiwa kuKwekwe, avo vanzwa nekushungurudzwa neZanu vakatoparura chirongwa chavo kare. Tichaonawo zvakare svondo rino honorable Machuma kuMufakos, honorable Settlement Chikwinya kuKwekwe zvakare, nevamwe vachaparura zvirongwa zvavo pakati ipapa. Asi ipapa ma-councillors nema-members of parliament eCCC vari kushanda zvakaoma chaizvo kunzvimbo dzavo, vachitaura nevanhu, vanhu vagara muvanhu. Saka apa vakungokumikidza kuti vanhu vanoziva kuti vari kunoisa X papi, vari kunoisa X pane masii matatu, pane yellow ipapo. Ndo zvinhu zvavari kunyanya kusimbisisa. Asi vanhu vedu vari kutivhotera, totori navo kare mumadatabase, totoziva kuti tichavhoterwa nevanhu vangani, nekuti vagara vangu vachingoshanda vachigadzirira 2023. Saka apa vakungonokwenenzvera kuti tibva tanyatsozvambura Zanu PF neimwe Zanu PF B inonzi MDC Alliance zvakanaka-naka. Imomo pavari vari kutaurawo zvakare kuti vanhu vasanyeperwe nevanhu veMDC Alliance nevanhu veZanu PF. Tine hurumende kana kuti inonzi hurumende inongoenda kuvanhu kunonyepa, inongomirira kuti kana paakuitika sarudzo yobva yatanga kunyepa. Sezvavari kuita ipapa vanenge vachinyengetedza maticha achiti tichakupai motikari, tichakupai dzimba, tichakupai zvakati. Imi munozviziva vana veZimbabwe kuti hurumende iyi payakapinda vaMunangagwa vakaisa mabillboards kwese kwese. Munoriziva billboard riri muna Samora Machel ranga rakanyorwa kunzi free education for all. Makaiona here free education iyoyo kubva pakapinda vaMunangagwa? Inhema dzega dzega, vanongoya pano kuzonyepa nekunyepa chete. Asi tinozviziva isu.
Vadzvokora hatichakunzwai. Regai ndidzose zvakare mutunga. Vadzvokora hatichakunzwai.
Ndikuvaona vari kutaura vadzokora, asi hameno kuti vazviisa pamute here, hangaziti kuhambe njani lapha. Uyakhuluma vabudzokora kodwa akazwakali akukhuluma iyo. Kodwa ubabudzokora ngowe-Citizens Coalition for Change ekaBabu Nelson Chamisa. Ubekhuluma lapho ngemibuthano yokusungula inhlelo zabo zokukhankasa ekhona kusasa. Sike sezwa kuthiwa umkhokheli webandla labo uzaba koBulawayo, kanti ubaba uMnangagwa laye ngakolunye uhlangothi kuthiwa uzasungula owakhe umkhankaso webandla leZanu PF. Sikhuluma ngobaba uMnangagwa, yena lamhlanje ukwele Mozambique, lapho abikwa menywe khona ngumongameli wakulelo lizwe, according to i-ministry ye-information lapha, ugatsha olubona ngokwethulwa kwembiko eZimbabwe, bathi President Emmerson Mnangagwa has left for Mozambique on a one-day working visit at the invitation of the Mozambican president. The two leaders are expected to discuss bilateral issues and the security situation in Mozambique and the region as a whole. Bayaqhubeka, but the President Mnangagwa will also hand over Zimbabwe's donation of food aid towards victims of Cyclone Idai in Mozambique. Leyo bekuyi-update nje ekababa uMnangagwa ngoba sikhuluma ngayo ukuthi kusasa la uzasungula umkhankaso webandla lakhe. But going back to our topic, Mr. Dzvokora, you were still talking, but I think you were on mute because we could see you talking, but there was no audio. So your party has complained that is being restricted by the police in terms of campaigns, in terms of movement, canvassing for support ahead of the by-elections and the 2023 general elections. And you are also alleging that Zanu PF people, are having a field day everywhere. They are not being stopped or being harassed by the police. Can you elaborate on that? How frequent is this happening?
It's happening every time when we try to engage the people. It happened in Gweru. You saw Honorable Chibaya and the president and the people in Gweru being harassed. It has happened in Kwekwe. It's happening everywhere. To the extent that we saw that President Chamisa was almost assassinated because they were trying to get him away from the people. And that's exactly what they are doing right now. They are getting in the way of our members of parliament. They are getting in the way of our councillors. They don't want our councillors and members of parliament to engage the citizens, to engage the people of Zimbabwe. And the paradox of it is we see Zanu PF, we see Monzora and other parties having a field day, like you said. They do their rallies, they do their engagement with the people, and nobody interrupts them. So we are seeing, the unfair application of the same law that is supposed to be saving Zimbabweans. But we are unperturbed by such, things by Zanu PF because we are used to that. We have gone to elections with Zanu PF using the same unfair rules that they use. And we have always trounced Zanu PF. We have always beaten Zanu PF hands down. Whether they stop us or not, the people of Zimbabwe will know, and they know who to vote for. They know their leaders. They know the party that can provide better facilities, better education, better health, and that can come up with better policies, economic policies that will revive their livelihoods. And they know that that party is Triple C. And we have evidence to that effect. You saw what happened in the inclusive government. The moment Morgan Tsvangirai took over as prime minister, he was in charge of a government, he was in charge of ministers. Things changed. Honorable Tendai BT came in and dollarized the economy, and people started getting salaries in US dollars. Honorable Chamisa, he actually revolutionized the technology systems in Zimbabwe as ITC minister. He delivered. All the ministers of the then MDC that were there, they delivered. And a new Zimbabwe, people began to enjoy Zimbabwe. I was in Botswana myself. I almost relocated during that time because everything was just okay. The roads, the infrastructure, the MDC, then or now the Triple C delivered during the inclusive government. So the people of Zimbabwe know that if they are going to vote the Triple C government, a Triple C government is going to deliver. There is no doubt about that. And even on the 26th of March, you are going to see, we'll be here, we'll come back and talk. The people of Zimbabwe now know that this is the party of the people, the party of our citizens. As you saw and heard President Chamisa saying that this is a new party, this is a new baby that put citizens, at the center of everything. Citizens are now making the decisions. They are now, telling the leadership what to do. If the leadership messes up, you see what the citizens do on social media. Pakaitika nyema double candidates mashoma iwayo, ma citizens akapenga, and you saw President Chamisa jumping. You saw Honorable Wende jumping. That's a party that is listening to its people, that is listening to its citizens. And that's where we are now. Who would not want to vote for a party that consults you, a party that comes to you, a party that respects your decision? Here now, Zanu PF, we see them, getting multiple loans from China, from Russia, from everywhere, and the money being misused. No citizen is consulted. No one person is consulted. And we can't even hold them to account when the Hopo Chingonos and other people try to hold the government accountable. They are arrested. So that's what we are running away from. We want a government that puts citizens at the center of everything.
What say you, Dr. Mavaza? We are hearing there from Mr. Tawanda Dzvokora of the CCC, alleging that your party is harassing its members when they are campaigning. You can go ahead, Dr. Mavaza.
Right. You see, the problem we have with the former MDC, now the CCC, is trying to agitate people before the elections. They try to have their own imaginary harassment. These are the people who kidnap themselves and lie that they've been kidnapped. These are people who pretend to be assassinated and jump into the cars and pretend to say there's an attempted assassination when they know there's nothing. They are trying to agitate the masses of Zimbabwe into a rebellion or something. Zanu PF has been very fair. Zanu PF has not even been bothering anybody. We are having our own rallies. We are not even worrying about what these people are doing. Their MP in Kwekwe, I said it last time, I'll repeat it again. Her car was taken, not her car alone. 2,500 cars were taken by the police because they did not have number plates. It was the cars, the robbery cases have gone high in Zimbabwe. Robbers were using cars with no number plates, unregistered cars. So there is an operation by the police taking the cars, not from MDC members. Even Zanu PF cars were taken, the cars belonging to the party. They were taken by the police. Unless you prove why your car does not have a number plate, it will be taken, impounded, and once you go and get a number plate, then you get the car back. So,
if I may jump in there, Dr. Mavaza, I think the biggest allegation there that came from Mr. Dzvokora was that you, Zanu PF, you appear to be buying votes, promising people that you give them cars and stands and things like that.
No, I mean, there are some things we just look at and smile at, especially when Dzvokora goes into his madness. We don't have to be worried much about it because, number one, Zanu PF has never promised the electorate cars. I mean, that's a lie. How can you promise a person who will vote for a car? How many can you give cars? Millions. That's not what, we don't have that money. Zanu PF doesn't promise people cars. Zanu PF buys cars for its candidates so that they'll be able to go and campaign. Zanu PF is promising people a better life. That is not vote buying. That is a promise. Zanu PF is promising people a change. And we are saying this new dispensation, this party which is going to the elections on the 26th of March is a new Zanu PF. It's a 3-year-old Zanu PF. It's not the old Zanu PF which Dzvokora still wants and love. No, it's different. We are talking about a different party. We have changed. They are saying, vote for us. You have seen what they've done in the past 3 years. We have revamped the roads. We have revamped our infrastructure. Things are getting better. Yes, we are having problems with our teachers and some few other civil servants because we are not yet there. But give us a chance. We are getting there. We do not lie to people. We do not tell them about bullet trains, which we know we don't need them in Zimbabwe for now. We don't promise people things which are not impossible. Which are not possible in the country. So to look at this point, Zanu PF promises the practical things. We are practical. Atirwari, atipengi, achite zvokungodzokora sezvinoita vanhu veMDC kungotarisa pasina chinoshanda. This party, which is campaigning now, it's a different, reformed, revamped, a newborn Zanu PF. the party which has people at heart, and give us a chance and vote for Zanu PF. You will see what happens in this remaining year before the 2023 and 2023 and above. We are a party which does not pull anybody from parliament just to fix ourselves. We are not a party which runs away. We can put a party together. MDC has failed to unite itself as a political party. How can they unite the country? You give them a country for a day, it will be divided. So don't divide Zimbabwe. One Zimbabwe, one nation, and let's become one. And let's not be fooled by these people, the MDC people. Zanu PF is doing its best, and we are saying here, do not listen to the lies of yesterday, that things that did not happen 20 years ago. Yes, we agree. But 3 years ago, things started moving. And now things are moving. And let's vote for Zanu PF for today, not for yesterday.
When it comes to unfulfilled promises, though, Dr. Mavaza, Goreriana Mgabe, I remember you promised the people 5 million jobs that never materialized. In the last election with President Mnangagwa, you promised people jobs, economic revival, the revival of the health sector, the education sector. And look at the education sector right now. Look at the economy, the Zim dollar that the finance minister and the Reserve Bank governor are sticking with. And also look at the health infrastructure. Clearly, those remain unfulfilled promises.
Dr.
Mavaza,
we're going to give you like 10 seconds because our time, we've only got 3 minutes, so that we can also give Mr. Dzvokora his time. Go ahead.
Okay, firstly, I said that what Mugabe promised, it was then. We are talking about a new dispensation, a new party. What was promised by Comrade Mnangagwa is we are fulfilling all that. And we are simply saying the remaining years, vote for Zanu PF and see what we'll do. We'll fulfill our promises. Again, I want you to notice that we used to have people who are in the Magorokoza. Now we've got artisanal miners. They have improved from what they were before. They are now employed. It is an employment. People are employed in different sectors. We are taking people away from the mentality of being employed by a boss. Making people bosses of themselves. And of course, you can employ others along the way. Zimbabweans now know how to make money, how to promote, how to employ people, how to get themselves employed, without queuing for jobs. And we are surviving. Zimbabwe is still affording a number of things. Zimbabweans in general, we are affording a number of things, good cars, nice houses. We are building every day. And those people are building are the ones in Zimbabwe.
Dr. Mavaza, now you are starting another issue. Those are for rich people, Zanu PF people, or Zanu PF leaning people, or the rich. We have this gap in Zimbabwe, a very huge gap of the rich getting richer and poor people getting poorer. So now when you're talking about buying nice cars, building beautiful houses, now you're talking about elites. And clearly many of them are very corrupt people. You are not talking about ordinary people here.
No, that's why you are lost. And again, it is wrong for you to say those are corrupt people unless you would prove that they are corrupt. And again,
many of those rich people are corrupt. They are not paying taxes. They are burning money. They are smuggling minerals. Many of them are looting. I'm not saying everyone, but most of those people, the rich people, they are getting richer. Some of them are corrupt. You have to agree to that.
You must appreciate that when BT, his divorce, his wealth was over 70 million US dollars. And where did he get the money? He stole it when he was the Minister of Finance. They've got so many MDC former ministers who are the corrupt has been again.
I have to come in now.
Yeah, on that note, I think let's give Mr. Dzvokora the last word because we've only got a minute left And then we'll continue this conversation further next week. You can quickly just
and
comment.
clearly, you know, we have to point that you know, Mr. BT is not here to defend himself. Otherwise, that's a very serious allegation from Dr. Mavaza.
Yeah,
But
and
go
if
ahead,
Mr.
Mr. Dzvokora.
BT had done anything, if Mr. BT had done anything wrong, he would have been arrested. If he hasn't been arrested, it's this useless government that is failing to do that. But going back to what you were saying, Emerson Mnangagwa, when he came in, he was saying jobs, 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 jobs. Where are the jobs? There are no jobs. He put billboards of free education, free health facilities, free everything, but nothing. Children are being sent away from school as we are speaking today. It's lies, lies upon lies. Manyepo, pamsoro pe manyepo. If we vote Zanu PF again, if we vote Zanu PF again, we are voting for more corruption, we are voting for more looting, we are voting for more poverty. Let's vote for Triple C and see a new Zimbabwe. They are trying to call themselves a new party. There is no new party. There is only one new party in Zimbabwe, and that's Triple C. Zanu PF has been there for 40 years, and they failed us for 40 years. Emerson Mnangagwa was part of that. He is the old that is trying to be the new, and he will never be.
Dr. Mavaza, your last 5 seconds, because you've out-talked yourself at this point.
The people must know that Chamisa has been there since the formation of MDC and has failed to unite, and he can never pretend to be uniting Zimbabwe now. Those so-called new CCC or 666, they are the beasts. Be very worried about them. Vote for those you know, those you have been with all along. Vote Zanu PF.
On that note, hey.
Hayi siyabonga isikhathi sesidliwe ngomangoyi liyamuzwa lapho uDr Mavaza weZanu PF lo baba uTawanda Dzvokora owe Citizens Coalition for Change kaba buchamisa hayi kabavumelani neze akula ngisho lokukodwa lapha bayake bevumelane khona laba abalisa ababili kodwa ke hayi sesifikile ke emaphethelweni ohlelo lwethu lwalamhlanje olivalelisayo ngenjabulo ngisithi libe lempela sonto enhle yimi uNtungamili Nkomo.
On that note, we'd like to thank our guests. We had Dr. Masimba Mavaza of Zanu PF and Tawanda Dzvokora of CCC, Citizens Coalition for Change. And we really ended on a high note there with Dr. Mavaza accusing CCC of, I don't know, in the end, but anyway, we'll carry on with the conversation again next week as we try to find out, how both parties are doing. I'm Marvelous Mflanganyahuye in Washington, D.C., saying to you, thank you so much for being on our program, and let's meet again next week as we start a new week here on Studio 7.